So body temperature is down. What does our body do to bring it back up? So what are some things that it automatically does for us? Which ones specifically? Yep, blood vessels near our skin constrict. So how does that warm us up? Yeah, it prevents heat loss. Do you know exactly how that prevents heat loss? Yeah, so there are different ways that our body, or anything really, can lose or gain heat. So via radiating, so that's means you don't have to contact something. So if you're in a warm room, the warm room will use radiating heat to warm your skin. So the same as if your blood is brought close to the surface, that means there's more heat that is radiating from your body. If your blood vessels constrict, then you don't have as much blood there near your surface, so there's less chance of that heat radiating from your skin. So our blood vessels near our skin constrict. Constrict. There we go. What else happens automatically in our body? You shiver. How does shivering make us warmer? What? It makes you move. What specifically is moving when you shiver? Your muscles. So your muscles are a big source of creating heat in your body. Yep. What else? Did you come up with something else? Those are the two that I think they mentioned in your book, right? What else happens? Did you think of anything different? Goosebumps. That's a good one. Yep. Does anyone know why getting goosebumps might bring our temperature back up? Not really. Not really. No. That's okay. Not really, but that's on the right track as far as it goes. So when you get goosebumps, what happens like to the hairs on your arms or on the back of your neck? They stand up. So like evolving over time, what might be the benefit of your hair standing up? It does. So it might be easier to think about it on like a dog maybe. So or you can think about birds. So in the cold, yeah, in the cold, birds you'll often notice will fluff themselves out. So what do you think they're doing by fluffing out their feathers? Well, it does make them look bigger, so there is a less chance of getting eaten maybe if you make yourself bigger. That is another evolutionary point to it. But you're actually creating more insulation. So for us as humans, over time we've lost a lot of our body hair, so it doesn't work as well for humans, but that's why we get goosebumps. It's similar to why a bird would fluff up. It's causing more air to be next to your body. Oh, is that locked? I can get it. Oh, that's okay. I worked night shifts. That doesn't. I forget. What's your name? Cody. You're Cody. Okay, so goosebumps. So it traps more air closer to our body, so it acts as insulation. It doesn't work as well for humans because we have less body hair than some other mammals, but it is something that happens. You guys have anything else on your list that what our body might do automatically? Yeah, that's yep, same thing. So it brings And that can bring blood back to your internal organs to keep them warm too, right? Yep. Does anyone have anything different on that list? I'll give you this sheet, Cody. We just had a discussion on these questions about body temperature. So when we're really hot, we sweat. So when we're cold, what does our body do? When we're really hot, we sweat. So when we're cold, our body would stop sweating, right? Stop sweating. This is question 1, yep. What else did I have? Did I have anything different? So something that's not as obvious is our bodies will give off different hormones. So one of them would be like epinephrine to kind of speed up metabolism. So in humans, our metabolism is what drives or creates a lot of our heat. So something that's not as obvious, you wouldn't notice necessarily, but our body secretes hormones to increase metabolism. All right. So the next question is how do we actively warm our bodies? So as Canadians, you guys should be good at this. Did you get it? Yep. Okay, so what things do we actively do to warm our bodies? Exercise. So how does exercising? It increases your heart rate and stuff. Yeah, that's true. It can increase your metabolism. There's another way though too that it warms us up. What else when we're exercising? What is another way that can warm our bodies? Moving your muscles, because moving your muscles give off heat. What's another way we can actively warm our bodies? What? More clothing, so more insulation. That's why we wear hats and mittens and winter coats in the winter. So more clothing or insulation. Friction, yeah, that's a good one. That's not one I had on my list. So by friction, you mean like rubbing your hands together? Yeah. Friction, yep. So if you've taken physics, you know all about friction being able to create heat, so that's good. Anything else? Drink warm liquids, warm food or liquids, yep. So through convection, so convection means when you have contact with something else. So if you put a cold pack on your skin, you're going to lose heat through your skin to the cold pack. So similar if you're drinking or eating warm food or liquids, some of that heat will be absorbed by your body. Anyone have anything different on the list? So warm shower, yeah, that's it. So that works in the same, kind of the similar way. But when you get out of the shower, you can be cold too, right? Yeah. So that's evaporation, yeah. Or you crank the temperature in your bathroom to like 30. Yeah, and then you're like my husband and you leave it there for like 24 hours. And yeah, no, that's not good for the power bill. Anyone have anything different? Active ways you warm your body? What did I have here? Is it crank the heat? Exactly. That's you warm your environment. So you go into from outside to inside or turn the heat up. Fly to Florida in the winter. Somehow warm what's around you. Does anyone have anything different? Was that all that you guys? Was that it? That's really good. You guys have lots of them. You're good Canadians. Another way is hydrating, actually. If our cells, because all of our cells, contain water, if our bodies are well hydrated, that just gives a little bit of extra insulation to our body to hydrate. And I just said keeping your skin dry. So you did say a warm shower, so that will put warmth in, but you're going to want to dry off really quickly because as water evaporates off your skin, that takes heat away. So maybe if you have that warm shower, you dry off before you even leave the shower to stop getting cold, right? So our body temperature is increasing. So it's one of those hot, hot, hot days and we're outside in it. What will our body do automatically to bring it back down? We will sweat. So why does sweating cool us off? Yeah, evaporation. Yep. So as liquid evaporates off our skin, it can take heat with it. So here in the summer, when it's really hot outside and it's also really humid, so that means there's a lot of moisture in the air, why do you think sweating might not work when it's really humid out? Kind of. So if sweat has to evaporate to cool us, if there's a lot of moisture in the air, yeah, the air can't usually take much more moisture into it. So that's exactly it. So if you actually go to a hot, dry desert, I mean, there's still a chance that you can overheat, you need to hydrate, but your sweating will probably be more effective there than it is here. Because on that hot, dry desert, the dry air will take your sweat away much faster than it will here generally in the summer. So what else will bring our temperature back down? What does our body do automatically? Blood vessels dilate. Where specifically? Yep, blood vessels near skin dilate. Dilate. Do I need an A in dilate? It is an A, isn't it? It doesn't look right up there. Why doesn't it look right? What? Oh, because of my scribble underneath? Yeah, I don't know. So why does so opposite of cooling, or when we're trying to warm up, why would our blood vessels dilating cool us down? Yeah, it brings more blood to your skin, and so it's able to radiate heat from you easier. So when you exercise, a lot of people, and some people more than others, if you're really warm, does anyone get really red when you're exercising? Yeah, some people will more than others actually, but I get really red when I exercise. Some people don't as much. Yeah. Did anyone have anything else that our body automatically does to bring it back down? No, that's a good part of it. Yeah, there will be some hormones involved there, but that's pretty much a lot of what our body automatically does. So how can we actively cool our bodies? Take clothes off, remove insulation. So we wear shorts and t-shirts and stuff in the summer in order to help our bodies to release heat. Drinking water, especially cool water, yeah. So an important part of when you're warm and drinking water is that you're replacing your fluids too. So it might not have as active a role in cooling our bodies, but it helps us to keep from getting dehydrated for sure. Go swimming. So what does swimming do? It changes your environment, yep. And it also gets your skin wet. So like swimming, or some people use cool cloths, or so that ups the evaporative heat loss. And you also said environment, so cool your environment. So what are ways we're going to cool our environment? Yes, turn on your AC. Or going somewhere colder in general outside. I'll just add up here, cool or cold food and drinks too. So we like iced things more in the summer. Yeah, decrease activity, yeah, definitely. So sometimes, does anyone work somewhere that has rules about how hot it is and how much you're allowed to do or how frequently you take breaks? Cody, you might. Do you guys, you work at Vimy? Yeah. There is actually, you just might not know about it. Yeah, because it can get really hot and humid in the building. So when it's above a certain temperature, they'll often bring popsicles.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And technically, like labor laws say you have to have more frequent breaks when it's above a certain temperature.
They're pretty good, but
Yeah, it's hard there too to get extra breaks too, isn't it? Does anyone work outside, or have you worked outside? Yeah, exactly. Has anyone worked outside? So that might be a little different. Yeah, they might not have had set breaks or anything there, right? No. Yeah. What kind of rules?
well, if it's a certain temperature outside, you're not allowed to go outside.
Yeah. Yep. So that's decreasing their activity and controlling their environment. Yep. So that's good. So just a few extra things about thermoregulation. So thermoregulation, and what was it called? What our kidneys do and regulate water. Starts with an O. Osmoregulation. So those are the kind of the two. That's called osmosis. That's also involves with water, and that's basically what a kidney is doing. Actually, is osmosis. So there's all kinds of homeostatic like processes in our body. Even like if you exercise and use more oxygen, our body works to get rid of more carbon dioxide. So that's just an example. The two we did in here is osmoregulation, so what our kidneys do, and thermoregulation, so that's the whole temperature piece. So there are two different kinds of organisms, I guess, and how they heat or how their bodies get heat. So we would be considered an endotherm, and that's other mammals and also birds are generally endotherms, and mammals like dogs and cats and and those animals. So they're endotherms. So that means our bodies do have processes inside that do things that give us our own heat. So our metabolism, when we are breaking down food in our body and the way our muscles work, we're making our own heat. So we're endotherms. Ectotherms, by contrast, are a lot of invertebrates, so like worms, fish, amphibians, reptiles. So their heat is primarily coming from the environment. So that's why like a lizard warms itself on a rock or is in the sun, in the direct sunlight to get heat. I'm not sure. It would have to be specific. Maybe he's able to get from the environment more so. Did you have to have some kind of heat source though, like the light above him or? Oh, well, he must get his own then. I bet you probably might have liked sunny windows and stuff though, or maybe your house is warm enough for him to exist fine. Yeah. But he still would have been an ectotherm. He would have been getting his heat from the environment. Yep. In your book, it talks about a couple of evolutionary things that it's an ectotherm might be able to make its own heat at certain times. I think it talks about a snake incubating its eggs. So it can do muscle contractions to generate heat to incubate its eggs, but it's not necessarily necessary for the snake itself. So what might be an advantage to being an endotherm and making your own heat? You have control over it. What's an advantage as far as having control? Yeah. If we were ectotherms, could we probably have come here on the day it was minus 21? No. We would have probably left our house and went out on our doorstep, and we would have got slower and slower and probably not even made it to our car because our body temperature would have rapidly gone down to get closer to the minus 21. So an advantage is that we can live in places that get that cold. What might be an advantage of being an ectotherm? If we only get our heat from the environment and we don't make our own heat. That's true. The environment can make you overheat, though. You could. Sometimes ectotherms can actually end up with body temperatures that are way higher than ours. So their body temperature could still get too high. That's probably why her lizard wasn't supposed to have a heat rock. He may have laid on it until his body temperature got so high it damaged his cells and he died. Yeah, so he probably maybe is not the smartest lizard. I don't know. I don't know about that specific breed, but there's a reason why he shouldn't have had a heat rock. So has anyone had a pet snake or knows somebody with a pet snake? Absolutely not. You have? How often does it have to eat? Yeah, my sister has a python too, and yeah, and especially in the winter, he might not eat for like 3 months. So what if we didn't eat for like 3 months? We would die, right? Because our metabolism works so much faster than an ectotherm, we have to eat all the time. We have to eat huge amounts of food compared to what an ectotherm has to eat. So that's an advantage to them. They can go for longer periods of time. They don't burn as much energy as we do as endotherms. That's right, they do, yep. And endotherms, but we could stay awake all night when it was cold and go and eat the ectotherms. So we have an advantage there too. All right. If we wanted to eat lizards and snakes, I don't know. Fish, we eat fish. So we actually talked about this stuff. You guys already knew this. Either you just know it or you read your book, one or the other. But blood vessels constricting, muscles contracting, causing us to shiver. Those things help warm our bodies or keep our bodies warm. Body temperature is too high. The control center, does anybody know what the control center is for temperature? It's part of our brain, yeah. It's a hypothalamus. So there you go. That controls a lot of our homeostatic things. And then we sweat and excess heat escapes. So a fever, so there's more and more research about whether or not you should take medication to decrease a fever when you have it. So it just means an abnormally high temperature. So I'm sure at some point we've all had a fever when we've been sick. And some people believe like it's the virus that's causing our temperature to go up. So in a roundabout way it kind of is, but it's really just our body's response to it. So it's actually our body that's saying, oh, there's something we have to fight here, some kind of infection or virus. So we're going to put our temperature up to make this a more hostile environment for that virus or bacteria to grow in. So actually a fever that's not super high, so 38 to 39 or 100 to 102, is actually not bad for us really if we are fighting an infection. So they're more and more saying that if you have one of these like lower grade temperatures, to not medicate it because it's helping our bodies. Of course, if it gets too high, like 104 or so, then it can start damaging our own cells, not just the virus. So there does come a point when we should probably treat it. So our book has this diagram here. So it's that negative feedback loop that we talked about the other day. So I wrote down a good way to remember a negative feedback loop. It was just an easy, so results of the process inhibit the same process. So I thought that was a nice, concise way of thinking about a negative feedback loop. So the results of this process, so going up here, you're cooling your body, and going down here, you're warming your body. So the results of those, once it gets, so if your body's below a certain set point, so you're getting colder, your response is to shiver, increase your metabolism, blood vessels constrict, your body temperature rises. So the result there is that your body temperature is rising, but once it gets to a certain point, it's going to stop. So the same result makes it stop. Whereas in a positive feedback loop, the result makes it more. So the example I gave there was the hormone oxytocin that creates contractions for childbirth. So the more the baby gets pushed down, the more oxytocin is released, the more contractions that push the baby down. So it's a continuous loop. Something eventually will break that loop. The baby will come out some way, right? So it will stop eventually, but that was just an example. So important maybe for a test, I don't know, is that temperature is negative feedback loop, okay? And this just breaks it down into two different parts. So your body temperature is above a certain point. So this is the same as like your furnace at home or whatever, or your electric heat or whatever. Yeah? Oh, negative. So results of the process inhibit or stop the same process. So whatever the result is once it gets to a certain point, is going to stop the process. And positive feedback is results of the process intensify the same process. So it's just kind of like an easy, concise way of thinking about it, I guess. So this just has body temperatures above the set point. So your hypothalamus, that part of your brain, activates. We also have sensors in like our blood vessels and everything too that kind of detect, oh, it's cold in here, oh, we're getting too warm. So our hypothalamus causes these responses. So we sweat, our blood vessels dilate, it brings our body temperature back down. Once we get to this set point, this process stops. So negative feedback. And then the opposite was, there's our set point. We like to be at 37 degrees Celsius. Our body temperature is getting below. So our brain, our hypothalamus says, oh wait, we don't like to be this cold. It gives these responses that we talked about. Our body temperature comes back up. And then once it gets there, it stops those processes. And then that just what I mentioned about the Burmese python and evolution made it able to make its heat for its eggs. So that from some point back in time, that was an evolutionary advantage rather than just laying her eggs and leaving them alone. It was an advantage for her to incubate them. What? You're not a fan of snakes, I can tell. So, what time is it? 11:30. Do you guys want to have a little break for 5 minutes or keep going? Seems like break maybe for 5. Okay, go ahead.